Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the PITE second Market Forum Insight, which is today. We have actually, this forum is basically to talk about the business events industry, and that we are bringing in leaders from different parts, different areas of the industry to bring in the highlights, which is going to happen, whatever happening in the industry for the last 2 years during the pandemic. We are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the experience, their experience, and also very interesting and helpful details. So before that, let me give a brief introduction about PITE. So PITE stands for PITE, Penang International Travel Exchange, which is actually a homegrown travel trade event which aims to promote Penang as a leading business events and leisure destination in across Asia. So the first edition of PITE was held in 2018, which was actually primarily focusing more on India and subcontinental markets. Due to amazing response from the market in terms of numbers, those markets into Penang and to Malaysia, it took off pretty well. So that started focusing on different markets. So it used to happen physical for the last couple of years, but of course last year the previous PITE was fully virtual. So again this year it is fully virtual. Hopefully next year it can be hybrid or physical. So it is basically a homegrown business event which actually been through different formats from fully physical to fully virtual and hybrid. So this year, PITE 2021 will be from 26 October, covering Asia, Pacific, and Middle East, and 29 October, covering Europe and UK. So there are 4 days of virtual event targeting Asia Pacific markets, followed by Middle East, Europe, and UK. There have been a very good response in terms of buyers registration so far. If you would like to register as a participant, please log on to PITE.my, PITE.my. So today we'll be talking about business events, trends, and insights from the Greater Asia and Middle East. We have amazing people on the panel today. Let me put them on the screen. Yeah. So basically, today we are going to talk about the topic, as we all know that it's about the trends and the insights. And those who are joining online on our live stream, please try to share this on your Facebook feed or WhatsApp groups and all that, so that we can more people joining in this event. And those who are, if you could let us know which city you are from, so that you're logging in from which city at the moment. So if you have any questions for the panelists, please type it down on the chat session so that we can always ask them, right? So we have a very interesting set of speakers today. So let me introduce all of them, right? We have, okay, I think, all right. Yeah, Eric has just dropped off. Probably he'll be coming back now. So we have, let me introduce the first speaker, Naji El Haddad. He is a regional director, MEA, the Global Association of Exhibition Industry, UFI. And he has more than 15 years experience in events management. Then we have Nitin Sachdeva. He is the president of SITE India, the Society for Incentive Travel Excellence, SITE, and also the CEO of Venture Marketing. He has more than 16 years in tourism and meeting industry, and he's been exploring into tech business in more than 6 to 7 years for now. So I'm pretty sure that he got a lot of insights for us to share. We welcome Hadid, and welcome Nitin. Thank you so much for taking your time out, guys.
Thank you, Prashant.
Hi. We just lost Eric. I'm sure he is trying to coming back. So Eric Ho is actually the vice president of industry partners. Yeah, he's here. Let me put him on the screen. Yeah, Eric.
Sorry, was locked up. Yeah.
Yeah. So Eric Ho, we have Eric Ho. He is the vice president, industry partners, MASIOS, the Malaysian Association of Convention and Exhibition Organizers and Suppliers. So he's the executive director of PICO International Malaysia. He has more than 28 years in exhibition and events industry experience, and is also a total brand activation. It's a sort of providing end-to-end creative services and conference management. So welcome all of you, all three of you. Thank you so much for taking time out to join this session. So let's basically, get into the discussion. So I would like to ask you. I'll start with Naji. So Naji, you are based out of Abu Dhabi, right? I'd like to understand, what is the current situation of MICE or business event sector in your region. So tell us something about that.
Yes, thank you, Prasant. Hello again. I'm glad to join the expert speakers on this panel as well. Thank you for inviting me, and hello to the audience who are hearing us today. So basically, yes, Prasant, it depends. It varies from a country to another. But in general, the region is off to a very strong restart now of the business events industry, especially the Gulf region, and namely the United Arab Emirates. This is where I reside, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. Also, other countries from the region, from North Africa, had an early restart of the exhibition industry or business exhibitions and conferences. These include Egypt, followed by Iraq, and most recently Libya. And as a matter of fact, other countries have received the green light to also stage business events very soon. Some of them with some restrictions, some of them fully open like in normal days, but of course with all precautionary measures in place. These include Jordan, for instance, who will reopen soon to business events. Oman as well from the Gulf region. Anyway, UFI has created something we call market status tracker that is updated on weekly basis and can be found on UFI website, ufi.org. This tracker highlights the countries that are fully reopened to business events or partially reopened. Partially means they can do business events, but they have restrictions on numbers, for example, indoor or outdoor. And also, unfortunately, there are countries who did not yet reopen for business events, but they are all set to reopen. So I want to highlight that the restart in the region was driven by two main factors, actually. One is customer needs. Yes, customer needs and government support. When I say customer needs, we went through a phase where we all had virtual and online events, and they were very important to keep us connected, yes. But there was, according to many researchers and surveys that have been done, there was a need to come back to physical events as long as they provide the value, of course, that exhibitors and visitors expect from us as event organizers. And the second factor was the economic impact that exhibitions have on any economy, on any nation. And this has been recognized very early in the United Arab Emirates by the leadership of the UAE. This is why the first event post-pandemic was in July 2020. Imagine July 2020, a few months after the great lockdown. It was a local conference, but it was physical. It was hybrid. There was one speaker attending online, but it took place. And then in December 2020, there was the largest technology event, GITEX, and then followed by the defense exhibition in Abu Dhabi and other events in Sharjah. So I'm giving the example of the UAE not only because I live here, but because it was, a very interesting success story between the private and public sector, while the government understand how business events can be a catalyst for any economic recovery, and the exhibitors and visitors, which are our customers basically, found that physical events can give more value compared to the online digital exhibitions. And here I'm talking exhibitions, I'm not talking only content, I'm talking trade, exhibition, and experience basically. So, and all this happened with highest standards of safety measures, and UFI has really greatly supported the industry in this term, where we have created the guidelines for the reopening. And also, it was very early in the crisis, maybe couple of months only after the great lockdown, where we started with a global task force to put together the guidelines, and they were updated, I think, 2 times, and also they are on ufi.org. So now in the UAE, present, we hear less about restart of events, of business events, of exhibitions, or reopening. We hear more about growth and customer value, and this is what our customers expect from us. Needless to say that Dubai Expo, of course, brought a lot of buzz to the UAE, with millions of visitors expected to attend this global event. This definitely will have positive impact on tourism in general, be it business tourism or leisure tourism. You cannot talk about also nowadays safe travels without regulations in place. So traveling to the UAE, anywhere in the UAE, has been made very easy, especially for vaccinated people. UAE has one of the highest ratio per capita in terms of vaccination. Of course, other countries also, Saudi Arabia is doing great on that end as well. Qatar also is among the highest in the world to have vaccination for their residents, of course. So all this made Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and I'm sure other cities in the region, amongst the safest city to live in the Middle East, and this is according to the Safe Cities Index 2021.
Right. Thank you so much, Naji, for that update. I think that you rightly said, the UAE is one region which was always, been very active, and it was actually early open for all these, activities, and even the entire world was looking up to, what kind of procedures and SOPs and stuff like that. So it's sort of a model for many countries, right? Because it was, opened early. Thank you for that update. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Let me move on to Nitin. So, Nitin, India has been one of the core markets, especially large events. Whether the events happens anywhere out of Indian market, but still the attendees largely from Indian market, right? That was the trend we've seen in Malaysia. So, what is the update that what is happening in India? I mean, how is the recovery process, and how is the event industry doing there at the moment?
Well, thank you so much, Prasant, for having me. As Naji mentioned, markets around the world, some markets are opening up, some markets are not, and they are on different stages. As far as India is concerned, India is in a very good place at this point of time. Of course, we suffered a setback in April, May, June, which was a second wave, and we were caught by surprise. Not by surprise, actually, by complacency, I would say, not both privately and publicly. But I think the government and the public worked very closely, as Naji mentioned, that private sector and the public partnership that we have been seeing has been reflected on the India market as well. And if you see right now, I mean, as we speak, we have about 14 to 15,000 cases reported every day for a large country like India, which is quite considerably low as compared to what happened in April to June, where 400,000 cases per day were reported. The vaccination drive has really gone, in a superb way, where about 15 to 20 million people are actually vaccinated every day, which is an amazing speed of vaccination that has happened in India, because of a simple reason that the vaccination has been you know uh, uh, manufactured in India, and there are 4 to 7 vaccines that are approved, and more to come. India just produced the first DNA based vaccine, which is produced in India, and it's going to go live in a couple of weeks to get people vaccinated on that particular new technology as well. So at this point of time, about 950 million people have actually got the first jab, which is about 70% of the adult population. And about, I would say, 20-25% of the population has already got fully vaccinated, which is a large number in itself, considering 1.3 billion people in the country. As far as the incentive travel is concerned, I must say that domestic incentive travel is already on the rise, and corporates are actually having budgets which they have to finish before December, because we do not have a lot of countries that are opening up right now, because of the international flight ban that is happened, that is eligible right now in India. which we are hoping that might get lifted by the end of this year or probably the starting of next year. And once that happened, then I think with flights everything is connectivity, right? So right now we have about 28 air bubble agreements, and people are traveling within those air bubble agreements overseas. And India, being the fastest growing outbound market before the pandemic, will continue to be the fastest growing outbound market after the in the new normal as well, because we as Site India, we did like a lot of research, and we did events which were digital, and we had individual talks with corporates and meeting planners here, specifically on the outbound side, and they were very pro of traveling and travel as a tool for incentive travel. So it will continue to rise. Corporates have budgets, they are asking when are the destinations opening, they are looking for favorable SOPs. Of course, the red tapeism on vaccine is something which should be avoided by destinations. That's one thing that's for sure. They should accept the vaccine certificates of each country if they want to have like a fluidic relationship in terms of having tourism and the meeting and incentive business going into their country. India is definitely back, I would say, on a pre-normal COVID situation, in terms of being normal. Like, I mean, everything is open, you can go out, you just have to wear a mask. Most of the people, a lot of people in the tier 1 market are fully vaccinated, and the virus trend is going down. So it's good news overall in from the India market. We can't hear you, Prashant, you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you for the update, Nitin. So basically, we read this. There was a news today that more than 90% load is back on all the flights domestically in India, which is like
Right.
amazing. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I would say, I was at the airport last night, and it was chock-a-block, and a lot of people wanted to travel. And I think, with fully vaccinated people, a lot of them, now they're wanting to travel. In fact, a lot of countries like in Europe, Switzerland, France, they have allowed fully vaccinated travelers to come without a quarantine, which is a great news. UAE, as Naji mentioned, has been a leader in terms of opening up, and I'm sure they will do very well as well, because I think their guidelines are very clear, and communication is pretty clear in terms of these are the requirements that we have, and you need to follow that. So I mean, once you follow that, you don't face any challenge whatsoever, and it's like super smooth. So I think it's about clear communication of SOPs. Make it as easy as possible, make it one test, because like I had to go through two tests, one rapid and one normal RT-PCR, which I logically I don't understand why this is happening, but I feel that there should be only one test before the flight, take it at the airport and go, or probably just one test 48 hours before. And I think that makes life easy for the customer. Otherwise, having a test before the flight and then of course just before the flight, it's a bit of an hassle. So I think clear cut SOPs, clear communications, this is what we need. And the airlines, I must say, that should definitely put in their communication on the email when they are doing a web check-in, where they are sending an email that these are your requirements, because people tend to forget, because no matter how much you prepare, you will forget something. So it's always important that with the Indian market to keep reminding them, and that's the key.
Absolutely, I think I completely agree with you, Nitin. I think of course, it's the SOP and the procedures are pretty new for many
Yes,
countries and all the airlines. So they are sort of trying to standardize the procedures. I can see many places they're still struggling to find a standard
sure.
procedure, right? Yeah. So I think, all right. So let me move on to Eric. So Eric, we have people from India, Sri Lanka, and all watching this live. So just want to understand, what sort of, where have you reached in terms of our business events in Malaysia, and how do you see this going from now on, as the borders, the domestic is already opened up in Malaysia? So how do you see this going?
Right. Thanks, Prashant, for the arrangement. And I think it's very good to hear from Mr. Naji and Nitin on what's the situation in Middle East and also India, where everything seems to be open and almost back to pre-COVID. Whereas the situation over here, I think it is a little bit more cautious how our government would approach the current situation. And very much the numbers of the for Malaysia, at least, we can see that the reduced number of COVID cases. That's what's happening here. And that is where we have opened our interstate travel, which I think that helps a lot in terms of the domestic tourism for a start. And of course, our government through Ministry of Tourism is looking at opening more borders and also creating the travel bubble. Yeah. So as for our association, Masios, we have been very actively engaging with the government through Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, and also Ministry of International Trade, because we see business events is not only associated to tourism, but I think it goes on a larger scale, the whole socio economy. And basically, we have, through the association, we have created recently labeled this Travel Safe Alliance, because moving forward, when borders are open, people are traveling, I think the confidence level of the travelers need to be addressed. That is why we have come up with this Travel Safe Alliance between Masios and also MATA, which is our travel association, and also Malaysia Association of Hotels, MA, and also Malaysia Aviation Group under MAS. And just over the weekend, observed by our Minister of Tourism, we have signed an MOU to have registered to be certified as a safe venue and safe travel SOPs in place. And basically, we have also engaged international renowned Bureau Veritas to be the auditor to create this. So basically, the objective of this is to give assurance for travelers to come to Malaysia, and we are safe. And we, from the moment you get into the plane, to the moment to the airport, and then to the hotels and so forth, we have proper SOPs. That is where we are looking at. And also our neighbor in Singapore has also rolled out their SG Safe Event Standards, which is a mark of assurance that events meet the requirements of safety, compliance, and the well-being in the endemic world. Because I think all of us are looking at, I think we have been in the pandemic for the last 2 years, and moving towards endemic, we have to live with it. So very much we are moving very cautiously, but very surely. And we can see that very soon, our business events, especially I'm addressing on conferences and also exhibition, hopefully will be open very soon. Looking at the calendars, venues are currently very actively engaging with show organizers, be it PEO or even PCOs as we speak, on the booking of dates. And I think all of the organizers are very confident that it will open very soon, where dates have been booked from mid of November onwards, and very December and so forth towards the next year. So, instead of just keeping fingers crossed, we are actively engaging with the rightful agencies and ministry on this. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that update. I think it's glad to know that things are coming back to normal in this part of the region as well. So let me ask Naji. Naji, I mean, you've been in your association, been very active, monitoring what is happening in this industry, before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and as of now, as we speak. So would you be able to share some trends and behaviors, you observe, and how is that, especially if you talk about in and out, movement, inbound and outbound movement between Middle East and Asia Pacific or Asian region. Can you share some insight with us?
Yes, sure. But before that, Prasant, please allow me to highlight 2 points that your respected speakers mentioned. Nitin, you spoke about communication. You are absolutely right. Clear and direct and constant, thorough communication is very important, and it was key to the success of reopening exhibition in the UAE. I've seen them how they work. they used all possible means to communicate with their customers, whether through emails, messages, phone calls, etc. So that is very important point, Nitin, you mentioned. And Eric, I'm very interested with this alliance that you have spoken about. So whenever there is something public that you can share, an English version, would love to have a look at it, and maybe this could be a case study or a model for other regions to adopt. It's really very interesting. So please, whenever there are public information about it, share it.
Yeah, in fact, I just want to add on to this point. As we speak, we are also tying up with Sasios from Singapore to also do a alliance for both countries. And I see this to be very fruitful to engage with more countries on this Travel Safe Alliance.
Okay, thank you. So, Prasad, going back to your question about trends and behaviors, yes, things are changing quickly. But let me go back to the core core mandate or raison d'etre of the MICE industry. What is it? It is to connect people and businesses of the same interest together, right? Irrespective of the form. So it was always like with all the restrictions on travel and large gatherings, the MICE companies have been using alternative ways to connect with their customers or to connect their customers together through digital platforms, while also making their events as touchless as possible, including like asking, now most of the exhibitions happening in the region here, for example, they do not print the badge on site and give it to people. They ask the people to print their badge at home. But these are, small details in my opinion. The big question is, if this trend of virtual gatherings will last, and how long it lasts. I could see from multiple companies, not all of them, of course, that they were struggling. These online platforms claiming to replace business events, mainly exhibitions. They're struggling with their ROI and struggling to offer value to their customers. So the question here is not, what you can offer as an alternative, is what value can you give, and can you give the same value as the original product, which is the physical exhibitions. I'm not saying that virtual events are bad. No, not at all. We are here in different countries, and we are gathered together to spoke about a subject, a topic. What I'm talking about is when a solution provider comes to tell you after 2 months that they can offer you the same value physical events, or what event organizers have been offering for over a century now, that they can replace it in no time, giving you all the features that you find in exhibitions. So this proved to be wrong, because according to a recent research also done by Explori, the net promoter score of virtual exhibitions is -50. That is really very low score. So it seems that the companies offering digital or virtual alternatives are not putting it in the right way, are not communicating their services in the right way. They should be presented as a support to the physical experience, no matter what it is. So companies will remain having a hybrid model, will remain having a digital component, but it's also beyond just having a virtual booth or a virtual banner. This is not what the MICE industry is about. We're more important than this, if you ask me. Basically, we're about connections, about trade, about creating experiences that until now I didn't see that there was an alternative to it, but there is a support. So technology is very important, in my opinion, for the MICE industry, as long as it comes to support it, to complement it, but not to replace it. So we're not here in a competition. We're not in a war. We should complement together. We should talk about co-opetition rather than competition. And this is like something, going like trending now in the UAE mainly. And for example, Informa Markets was a pioneer in this, doing virtual niche events before the show, before the actual event, and after the actual event. So they kept their audience engaged, and they kept the dialogue open with their audience, as well as their audience together, buyers and sellers. And something worth mentioning is that those who attended the virtual or the digital seminars or conferences or master classes, whatever, they did not take them as a substitute to the physical event and drop the physical event. No, on the opposite. This created more momentum for the physical event and more interest to attend the physical event itself. But to summarize, in general, things are gonna change a lot in the next 10 years, if you ask me. And as according to McKinsey, the coming decade will have more technological progress than the 100 years put together. So things will change. No one can predict clearly the future, but definitely technology can play a key role in the mice industry, and the digital components and the digital offers products should complement, as I said, the mice industry, and there should be adoption of what is required in technology, and not just follow a wave that we can replace any event, any of the mice experiences with something virtual. It comes down at the end of the day to the customer needs and to the customer behavior. This is why companies who would be in good place for the future are those who really keep good pace with the technological development.
All right, thank you, Naji. I think that's a very good perspective of how we take this physical and virtual is sort of being a competitors to each other for this point of time. But people in the tourism industry would definitely take it otherwise. You have to complement each other, right? Physical interaction and virtual is two different paradigms altogether. So I think I would like to know more about this topic about being virtual versus physical. Nitin, can I have something from you? Like, how do you take this? You're muted.
Yeah, sure. I think Naji, your points were absolutely on the dot when it comes to virtual versus physical. I feel that I've explored a lot of technology in the last 5-6 years, and I believe that we have already moved 10 to 15 years ahead in the last 2 years. What we had to do in 2030, we are already doing it now. And this has been pushed by the pandemic, and the people were actually at home. Before 2019, nobody wanted to do a Skype call. Nobody wanted to do, I mean, Zoom was not even known to people, right? So I think what has happened in the last 2 years has been a fast track of what we were supposed to do in 2030, which is great. But I think the most important thing that operators, exhibition organizers, incentive planners or convention organizers, all of these stakeholders, they need to realize that as Najee rightly mentioned, there has to be a balance, and they need to use it as per the customer's need. Like, for example, what Prasant mentioned, that these are two different animals. Online and offline, these are two different things. They are not the same. If you're like doing a hybrid, you're actually doing two events in one particular time. So they're two different things, two different skill requirement, and I think it has to be complemented. And I feel that technology has this virtual element has definitely been a support, and I believe that it's going to be a revenue support for larger exhibitions as well, because there are a lot of people, they might not cannot travel all year round for every exhibition or every event. So I think they will get their share of key points that they can gather on the virtual front as well. But I think there is no replacement for face to face, and that's what the industry is right now on a high urge on. Like, they want to meet face to face, and that's the key trend that I would see. Because virtual 2 years, it was all virtual. People are now fatigued with the virtual element, and they want to meet up. So when you meet up right now with anybody on a physical face to face, it's a I would say a surreal experience, considering that you've been home for 2 years and not been able to see each other in person. Talking about the trends, I must mention that there are 2 3 important trends when it comes to India, and in fact the incentive and the convention market. The first and foremost trend is, of course, health and hygiene security is something which everybody is looking at, and I believe the industry is on top of their game to actually provide that security on health and wellness, right? Wellness is another area which has been a big trend, because every organizer wants to actually implement a wellness activity within the program, be it an exhibition, be it an incentive program, be it a convention, because people have realized the value of health and to be immune to these kind of threats that we have on the health side. And the third and the most important trend that is very dear to sight as well is sustainability. I think people have realized the value of sustainability and the sustainability of the planet, and the way we do things on the exhibition side or on the food preparation side. How can we help to make events more sustainable? I think these are the key I would say trends that we will see in 2022, and we are already seeing it in the domestic market in India. These are top trends from my side.
Thank you, Nitin. So basically, if I could ask Eric on your perspective, Eric, do you see virtual as a sort of a will it somehow I mean, is it like we can't say it's a threat, but then I don't know how it is it is taking forward. Like small events are moving virtual. There are studies showing that they may not have small crowd anymore, because they are trying to go online. The all big crowds are going to be physical. And so how do you see this like very confusing situation for everyone in the industry, right? Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear, and what Naji and Nitin has pointed very clearly is that I think it is not going to replace any physical event. It is going to complement any event, and we see it as a two different engagement model, right? For now,
Right.
and from the commercial aspect of it, for many organizers, we will realize that going fully virtual, it is not commercial viable. You don't really, it's not sustainable in the long run, because our business is people, right? We are in the people business, so people need to meet and network. So, like it or not, of course, virtual and hybrid events is here to stay. I'm very sure about that. But I think the physical component of it is very important, where content is one. Everybody talks about content in every event, but also the experience part, the content experience element is also very important. And how do we engage physical complemented by hybrid or virtual events to make it a great experience for our users or our participants for the event? This is how we look at it.
All right. Thank you, Eric. If you could share some trends you are seeing here in this part of the region, like have you been getting assignments for next month or next year kind of thing? Like, do we have
Yes.
big events coming up, or how is this
Yep.
going?
Yeah. As of now, I think virtual events are still in, and however, a lot of organizers are already talking or planning towards to physical events, where there still be a hybrid component, because there will be participants who may not be able to travel in time to attend physically. So the hybrid virtual component is very important to have the engagement to the rightful buyers or the rightful participants that we intend to engage with. So moving forward, I think there are a lot of areas where our industry players need to look at. For instance, venues. Venues will also need to be prepared to be hybrid ready. Take for instance, KL Convention Center has turned their certain rooms into full studio and fully equipped technology studio, where you can have your hybrid events there and also your physical presence in that venue. So the mindset will have to change, and how we do business before and moving forward will have to change, be it from an organizer to suppliers. So the old-fashioned thinking will have to change to the new norm. How are we going to be sustainable in our business? And of course, technology will have to be there. Also, technology will help in terms of SOPs. How does it help in terms of making crowd control, in terms of registration and so forth, to ensure that we meet the SOPs. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Eric. So, as you rightly said, I mean, this is technology. We need to make use of technology, and that mind shift from the organizers to the suppliers to the service providers, right? I think that is, I think also already be happening, right? Because it all starts with the demand from the client. If they could see, yeah, I got people from around the world joining my event, which I never thought if I could do physical, something like it is to be thought about. So let me, come back to Naji. So Naji, we are actually, there's the MICE operators, and especially from the convention bureaus we have in Malaysia, multiple convention bureaus concentrating on different regions and markets. And MICE operators are one of the key elements. I mean, there are PCOs and exhibition specialists. So if if you could give us best advice for those operators, because they are sort of in between at the moment, because they have their equipments, but then they should they invest on more digital, towards digital, or they should those kind of mindset. And even the clients, because every operator also has a role in convincing their clients, right, what should be the best. And so what is your best advice for MICE operators?
Yeah. First, thank you, but I don't think I'm in a position to give advices. I'm sure there are many experienced people here. So let me say I'll share experience or observation. So yeah, absolutely, you're right. Things are changing fast, and sometimes we might lose the connection with our clients. But before talking about any technology, my observation or my experience is that resilience, agility, and innovation are very important virtues, especially during times of uncertainty or crisis, since business as usual may not be always the answer. Especially that disruption, for any reason, may occur again frequently and abruptly. So doesn't have to be another pandemic that would disrupt our industry, but could be something else, including a technological breakthrough. So this is why resilience and agility are really important, and innovation in not only in technology, which is somehow might be easy to outsource. If you need a technology like an AI-driven matchmaking engine, for example, you simply outsource the service. But also innovation in like always challenging the status quo, the strategies, the sales and marketing and tools, upskill the talents they have. So that is really very, very important. And more importantly, we all should remain very close to our customers, whose needs are changing constantly. And talking about customers also, we have to, I think there is a gap within the MICE industry, and this is my modest opinion. There is a gap in analyzing the data that we have. Behavioral data is very important to be captured and analyzed on a regular basis. The MICE industry might be very good at capturing this data. However, I think there is more room to improve when it comes to analyzing it and using the results to reinvent maybe the business or create new products, new services, etc. And the data that we own is really a gold mine that we should use at its best. So big data and data analytics is really important. And this is also a trend. If you go back to your previous question, Prasant, it is also a key trend within the MICE experts, mainly the business events and business events, conferences, and exhibitions, of course, using it to its best, because with the virtual platforms now, they have, really understood the value of such data, and we have been collecting data since ever. It's not something new. The analysis may not have been done at its best again, and there was no products created out of this data. But now is the time. Last but not least, of course, an advice, if I may say, and I give it to myself and to my colleague and to anyone, is to take care of your talents, not only their health, their physical health, but also their mental health, and ensure they are always abreast of all technological advancements, because which is related to your business, of course, because they are your main asset. So taking care of talents is crucial, because we don't know what people are going through during these difficult times. And to end, present, again, on the technological aspect, I think companies also must keep, not only technology, could be anything, but they must keep pace with emerging business building opportunities by designing programs that improve their operations relating to, again, technology development, or procurement, or manufacturing, or services, and cost reduction. This is really important to stay in the business and growth for a sustainable business model. So don't be scared of changing your status quo, changing what used to work in the past, because things are really changing very, very quickly.
All right, thank you. I think it's rightly mentioned. Everyone should be in a position to at least utilize the existing technology, which are actually not to say a lot of solutions are available on subscriptions, and it's not very expensive at this point in time. That's why I think people should at least the operators should use it to analyze, as you said, analyze, and also streamline the back end, all that processes, right, to save costs and save manpower and sort of. I think it's. Thank you for that input, Naji. So back to Nitin. So Nitin, how do you? I mean, you have been to technology industry, and then would you have some tips or
Well, Prasant, the most important thing here to understand is, of course, technology will continue to evolve, and nobody can catch pace with what evolvement is happening. So I think the most important thing for MICE operators to understand is what are the customer requirements. That's the first thing, and because it's not sure that if you have something working in Malaysia will work in India. So the market that you are servicing and the customers background, I think you need to know the customer very well, and that's the fundamental thing, that COVID, no COVID, I think we have to study our customers to provide the best solution possible. Of course, now technology has advanced, so people need to use something which is user friendly. That's the most important thing, because I think there are a lot of solutions around there, and it actually does not ease out the solution for people to actually attend your event, or probably use that technology. It actually complicates it, because we have to understand that not everybody is techno savvy, no matter what age and where they're coming from. I think people take their own time, and I can talk about India, and specifically the trade in India. They are well advanced, but again they don't need to be super advanced to be given a complicated AI technology which they cannot understand. So I think education on technology is also another area which they need to focus on if they are implementing a lot of technology in their programs, because people when they're meeting face to face, and if there is too much use of technology also is not a good angle. So that's from the negative point of view that I'm also pointing out, because so much of digital fatigue. People are just sick of their devices right now. They want to just talk and have a conversation, have a coffee, and I think there has to be, this element has to be be absolutely in the forefront at this point of time. Another thing that the MICE operators, especially for the India market, that can help themselves is actually be very close knit with your internal stakeholders, which are the hotels, DMCs, when you're operating a incentive from India. Because if you're not close knit, somebody will see the loophole and break it. And specifically in terms of negotiation, because India is a great market for negotiation. They negotiate till the end of the program, and they will negotiate even if you're not got the last payment done. They will still negotiate. So you know a lot of people know that when the contract is signed, the negotiation stops. But in India, the negotiation starts when the contract is signed. So I think these are the key areas which I feel that mice operators who have been working in India, they know it. But a lot of people who are new to the industry or probably would be getting into those markets should definitely know key aspects on how to operate in a particular market, specifically India. And I agree with what Naji pointed out, the psychological needs of talent. We need to definitely educate them, invest in their training. I know that it's now become easy to invest in their training because it's digital. You can replicate it. If you buy one course, you can actually give it to the other person as well to actually update themselves. Because if people don't educate their teams and put them in front, the company is not going to work, because it's going to be the team who's going to take the company ahead. So I think these are basic rules which I feel that people in the mice industry should adhere to. And the most important thing is use a balance in technology and face to, because too much of anything would can hamper the stuff. I know that's difficult right now to understand, but as we open up, as we talk to more people, as we meet up, we will get to figure out what's the right balance.
All right, thank you, Nitin. I think that's very rightly said. It's very important to have that close knit connections with your peers. I think the associations you guys are in, I think, doing a great job. I think pretty much. I think the current source of information is only through the associations. I think that is what is happening at this point of time, right? So probably that might improve for better. So Eric, if you could share on what do you want to say to those mice operators out there?
Yeah, basically for what I have to say is I think the service part, I think everybody is gearing up to pick up new skills as what's been shared. I think from the association's point of view, we understand it, and we have run several programs to upskill our industry players in digital. So these are some of the initiatives that Marcios, the association, is taking. Apart from that, I just want to share a very, very important point here, where I think the insurance part, the travelers insurance, when they come to each country, does the particular country have insurance for these travelers? Because uh, medical could be very expensive, for foreigners to travel in. So as we realize that moving forward, while we are hoping the borders to open and so forth, we are currently in talks with certain insurance companies and also Bank Negara, which is our national bank. Reason being, insurance falls under the national bank. So we are starting to have talks to engage to have a sort of a policy so that travelers can come and feel free, that, with insurance, they if anything untoward were to happen, they are well protected in each country. At least I can speak for in Malaysia. Yeah. Prasan?
Yeah,
I
sorry.
think
I just had some connection problem. Yeah. All right. So I thank you for that. Thank you for that. I think rightly said. We
We are missing you. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some connection error.
yeah, we're losing you, Prasant.
I think I have some. Am I connected?
Okay.
Yes, now you're back.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I think I have a connection issue, so I'll just stop my camera for a while. So I'm audible, right? At the moment,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm audible. Yeah. So I think we are basically moving towards the end of the session, because it's already 5 o'clock. Any last words? If you could share. Yeah. Naji, if you could. No?
Well, I mean, we've summed it up, I think, very well. I mean, for us as UFI, we're gearing up for the 88th edition of the Global UFI Global Congress, physical in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands, where we will discuss all these topics and beyond with experts from different industries, but within the ecosystem. Since our industry is an ecosystem. And if we get 1 minute at the end, I have a question for Mr. Eric, but obviously I'll give the floor to Nitin and Eric if they have final words. If I have time, I'll ask the question.
Yeah, please carry on, Naji.
So basically, I'm always curious, Eric. I read about some trends that they are not yet used now, tech trends, but they might be used in the future. Maybe if they are used somewhere, I don't know. These are augmented reality and how do you call it, 3D printing. So is it possible that we see Pico offering booths in augmented reality or 3D printed booth? I know the question might be, so advanced, but is it something you believe might become a reality in the future, and companies can choose to have a booth in augmented reality or a 3D printed booth for sustainability reasons as well?
Oh, yes. I would say that I think in 3D printing or anything to do with the sustainability where it can be modular and recycled, definitely that is something towards moving towards. In fact, what we have done in terms of sustainability in Malaysia is that we have worked with certain agencies to reuse and upcycle the reused banners. What happens to a lot of those PVC banners, the vinyl banners, right? We throw away, and it creates such a very high carbon footprint. So what we do is that we turn it into bags, and we are working with certain individuals to get maybe single mothers to come in to help to make them into bags, and we sell back to the conferences as conference bags. So these are the little things that we are moving towards sustainability. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Thank you.
All right, you have another question to Nitin, Naji?
No.
All right, guys. So would you have your side anything like to tell to the audience about your association, any upcoming events, anything like to share? Eric?
Yeah, sure. Eric, please go ahead.
Well, of course, as from the association, we are still constantly engaging with all agencies. Hopefully, that our business events will be allowed to operate very, very soon. That's the most important part. And I have something to just share with everyone in this show is that I think we have to be resilient at this point of time. And I'm very, very confident that our business events will be very positive moving forward. And from the market research, and we are expecting a compounded annual growth rate of 11.2% from 2021 to 2028. And I'm very confident that it will be even higher than that. And we will have to expect major or permanent shifts in the industry for years to come. We just have to be on the ground and to also collaborate. I think collaboration is very important today. No company or so far can survive by ourselves. I think we have to build a lot of collaborations as we speak. Our associations, even our companies, have tied up with a lot of collaborative partnerships with various parties or even agencies or associations moving forward. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Nitin, over to you.
Well, I think both my fellow panelists have summed up pretty well, and I would just want to add on what Eric mentioned, that definitely the industry is going to be on the uptrend as we move forward, because I think vaccination was a key, and vaccination served as a key to open up stuff, and now I think larger part of the world have been fully vaccinated and still continue to happen. I believe that business and events industry will definitely grow and thrive more than what we could imagine. And I think the most important point here is we need to, as collaboration is important within the industry, it's also important from government to government, because that would be another key to really fast track reopening and growth, around the world. And I think government to government connect and collaboration really would be a definite key. As far as Site Global is concerned, we have a global conference coming up in Ireland in January that would discuss all the areas where sustainability, the new normal for the incentive travel industry is concerned. And India, as a chapter, is continuing to engage with, its counterparts in different parts of the world, where we want to really have the knowledge based, on the ground update, from people that we trust. So I think that's what is happening from our side and site.
All right, thank you so much, Nathan. Naji, any final messages or anything?
No, I simply echo Eric and Nitin what they said. I wish them all the best in their events, upcoming events. And I also double agree with Nitin that there is a growth path for the industry bigger than anyone can expect.
All right. Sorry, guys, I'm not opening my camera because I'm on mobile data. So thank you so much for I would be catching you back again sometime soon. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Sure. Thank you.
Take you off the screen.
Prashant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right. So I think, so guys, thank you so much once again. So those who are actually would like to join the event PITE, please log into PITE.MY to register yourself. And we'll see you on the next session, the next forum. So sorry for those, the inconvenience. I had a quick